All right, Carl, you can start us off.
Geno, you've talked about since the day she signed or day after she signed that Paige loves big moments and big games. And I know that you're very hard to impress, but did she impress you tonight with what she did in the last 15 or so minutes, or 10 or 15 minutes?
Yeah, I mean, it's been difficult. It's been difficult in some games to see where where we can help her be better. There's a lot of things I want to help her be better. I think the most impressive thing about Paige is she plays at the same pace the entire game. She goes at a pace that allows her to use her skill. And I think that's a great quality that usually comes to you a little bit later. And she's got it at such a young age, that she's able to have the game slow down for her and make the play that has to be made. She played all 45 minutes and, there's a lot of pressure on her, as you can see, to make shots. And we need obviously to help alleviate some of that pressure, but I'm always surprised when she shoots and the ball doesn't go in, and her defense is getting better all the time. And there's not much you can say. I mean, she's that player. She's that player that, comes along that people talk about. Hey, just see that kid from Connecticut. She's that kid.
It looked like the game had gotten away from you a little bit, and in the fourth quarter and in overtime, and yet your kids found a way. I guess you could say this is why you play these kind of games, to learn about your team, correct?
Right. Yeah. I thought we did a pretty good job of starting to put some distance between us and them, and then I thought we were the Kansas City Chiefs there for a second. I was looking for my red challenge flag to throw onto the court, on some of those calls, but it's just a lot of things happened that we gave away possessions and allowed them to to get some momentum back, because I thought we had all the momentum there for a while. And then we just very easily could have lost it at the end of regulation. We had the ball, and I'm thinking, we're in a really good spot right now. They were subbing offense and defense, and I'm like, we got the right team out there. They have the right defensive team that we want out there. And then, I should know better. Whatever I'm thinking, I should do something opposite. I should just make the vow to myself from now on. Whatever I think's the right thing to do, just do opposite.
Doug Fine.
Hey, Geno, you just mentioned obviously that the kids come to Connecticut and have games like that. Can you remember a freshman doing that? And I know it's not March, it's not the NCAA tournament, but like 1 versus 2 in a big stage, and she comes out and has all your points in overtime and hits the big shots down the stretch in regulation. Like, do you remember a freshman doing that for you in the last 20 years?
I don't know. I wish my memory was good enough to say that, I don't know I remember whether Diana was a freshman or a sophomore when, she got 32 down at Tennessee. She might have been a sophomore. I don't know. I don't remember these things. In big games like that, I wish I could tell you I remember some regular season games, where Maya just had, huge games like that. But I guess the point I'm trying to get at is, I'm sure that it's something special because she is, and because of some of the players that we've had. It may have happened before. I just can't remember right now. But it's been a long time since one player has had to carry a team as much as she's had to in some of these games.
And just to follow up, a game like this, I'm sure, helps you so much for the rest of the season that it was a struggle at times. I mean, the defense was really good at times. You had a rally, then they rallied, then you rallied again. I mean, does that help you knowing that the biggest games are in front of you as opposed to behind you, so to speak?
Yeah, the reason you play these games is because you do know that the bigger games are ahead of you, and you want to use this game as a step towards those games. That's why you play them. Otherwise, you can avoid them. And believe me, I know a lot of coaches who do. I mean, you can avoid playing these games, or you can actively try to play them like we do and take your chances. So next time we're in this game, we'll have a better idea. And we'll know that even if we're not making shots, even if we're struggling in certain areas, we do have it in us to win this kind of a game. And I thought the crowd really helped us tonight.
Thanks, Coach.
Doug Bonjour.
You've talked a lot about energy and, the young players, the underclassmen bringing energy. What specifically, did you see from them tonight? How valuable was that, especially Aubrey coming off the bench there when, you were looking for a spark?
I mean, I don't know. All you have to do is watch the game. There's something about what Nika's doing out there that just adds to what we're doing. There's something that Aaliyah's giving you that just adds. Aubrey comes in and, Aubrey will do 10 things in the first 15 seconds that she's out there. 5 of them will make you think, why'd you put her out there? And the other 5 will make you think, why doesn't she start and play 40 minutes? So something's going to happen is my point. When those guys get in the game, something's going to happen. And, that's what you want. That's, you want players to impact the game. And they certainly do that. They certainly do that.
Mike tomorrow.
Hey, Geno, you always say that you like it the best when your teams can look like the old Edmonton Oilers, that free-flowing kind of thing.
Yeah.
How are you with winning a game like this, where it was just kind of slogging up and down?
Yeah. Yeah, today we were the Broad Street Bullies, to be honest with you. There was no Edmonton Oilers basketball being played today. Today was dump it into the corner. 4 guys go in there. 2 get carried off. 1 guy has the puck. Hopefully we score. And, it was that kind of a game. I mean, you saw their size. They're big. I mean, we just don't have that. And sometimes you got to win those kind of games. It's easier to win the games that are fun and free flowing, and, this is nice. That backdoor pass is nice. That pull up jump shot's nice. Hey, isn't this great? Where you just have a jump shooting contest and whoever makes the last jump shot wins. Tonight wasn't one of those games, but you have to be able to win those games. Even one of the best teams I've ever coached, had to win one of those games to win a national championship in San Antonio against Stanford. When the score was 20-12, whatever the heck it was, at halftime. So it happens to the best of teams.
Go to Mike Anthony.
Yeah, Geno, you kind of touched on these themes and these 2 particular players already, but I'll go back to it. Nika and Aubrey just seem to give you a certain level of toughness, and in a game that wasn't always pretty, maybe kind of became the glue that enabled that bridge to hand it to the star to take over. You must have like a certain level of appreciation for what those kids who aren't going to necessarily take over a game can do to hold one together until someone like Paige can.
Yeah. Sometimes people make comments like, she'll never be anything but a role player. Like that's some kind of disease or something. or she'll never be anything but a role player. Yeah, good. I like to see what a concert would sound like if the guy who's supposed to bring Billy Joel's piano out doesn't bring it out. Yeah, he's just a role player. Well, guess what? Everybody's role is really, really important. And you just got to play it to the best of your ability. So if you're going to be a role player, then you got to be, like we say, a star in your role, whatever that is. And Aaliyah Edwards and Nika and Aubrey, that's what they were tonight. And that's what they are most nights. Some nights more so than others. But, you know, that's the way life is, you know? There's guys who lug the piano up on stage, and then there's guys who play the piano. And there's a reason why the guys who plays the piano gets paid all the money. Because that's what people come to watch. Paige is a good piano player.
Good,
Thanks.
Charlotte.
Geno, just to kind of follow up on that, what you saw from Aaliyah, especially as Olivia got into foul trouble late.
Yeah. The game was really weirdly officiated in a sense because you're not quite sure. I thought we probably got away with some. They got away with some. And you have to be able to withstand that and be smart about it. And sometimes you just can't help it, you know. But when you're stuck with 3-4 fouls, it changes how you're going to approach your defense. It changes how aggressive you're going to be, and that's why it's so important you don't, you know. And generally speaking, we don't, except this year. This year, I know it. We're great at fouling. Maybe everybody in the country knows it. We've never been great at fouling, and this year we are really great at fouling. We've taken it to another level. Fouling. Aubrey got called for a foul today because the official said her stance on her screen was too wide. Think about that. Her stance on her screen was too wide. That's a foul. It's almost like calling pass interference when the guy's pass lands in the front row in the end zone. This doesn't make any sense. I think I saw that last night.
Alexa?
Hey, Geno, you've talked a lot this season about your defense and that you were the worst defensive team in the country, something like that. What did you learn about your defense tonight, and how did you think it did, forcing South Carolina to commit 21 turnovers, holding them to 59 points?
We're getting better, but there's things that we can't handle. And, you know, but we're getting better defensively. But there's still things that we're going to struggle with on a regular basis. And, you know, if you looked at the rebounding numbers today, it was, I want to say 52 to 39. So there's things that we struggle with that we're going to have to, you know, identify and get better at. We've already identified them that we have to get better at. But sometimes, you know, you don't have to be a great defensive team the whole game, but you have to be a really good defensive team during times when you have to get a stop. And tonight, when we really needed to get one, we got one. So that's a good sign.
Jeff?
Hey, Geno, I wanted to ask you one skill question about Paige and one serendipity question about Paige. The skill part, she comes off a screen now as good as anybody I can remember that you've had, you know, to get the shot. And also on the wing, she's willing to go one-on-one and make that shot, you know, from the baseline. What makes her so, how does she do that? How, not just confidence-wise, but skill-wise, what it allows her to do it? And then the serendipity part was, I went back and timed it off the video. She let go of that thing at 13.8 seconds left. It hit the back of the rim at 12.4. didn't go back into the rim until 11.2, and then dropped it on the floor at 10.8. So that baby was up in the air for almost a second and a half, 2 feet above the backboard before it went in.
Yeah. We were in our ball control offense at that point. We were clock management. We were in. First of all, she's very slow. And when I say that with a high degree of appreciation, she's very slow. She takes her time, and she. I'm old. A lot of you guys are too. She's like when Jim Brown used to run. When she gets the ball, she kind of like, should I go that hole, that one? What's the best decision for me right now? She waits until the absolute last minute, and nothing rushes her. So you can't make her play faster than she wants to play. So that allows her to make a good decision of how to come off that screen. For the most part, there's still obviously a lot of work to be done. And when you're as good a shooter as she is, she really has just a lot of confidence in her ability to, that if she can get one off, she thinks it's going in. And I marvel sometimes at, how hard she has to work because of the defensive attention that she gets every single night, and our big guys, if they keep getting better and better as screeners, she's going to find them more often. That's for sure. She's just good. She's just good.
Hey, Geno. Obviously, the fact that it was a 1 versus 2 matchup just came about today. That wasn't anticipated. But what do you think about possibly ascending to the number 1 spot with a team of 7 freshmen? Is that kind of mind-boggling, or?
Didn't it happen last year too, or something, or the year before? It might have happened last year. And I said, this is the worst number 1 team in the country in the history of number 1 teams in the country. I couldn't believe that we were number 1 in the country. Hey, listen, this year, anything's possible. I didn't know what they were talking about today when they were talking about, hey, big matchup, 1 versus 2. This is your record when it's 1 versus 2. This is your record when you're 1. This is your record when you're 2. And I was like, what the hell is everybody talking about? I didn't even realize what was going on. Because that's how little I think it matters, these kinds of things. But I think more importantly, it's the fact that you beat a good team. You beat a good team, and you didn't have your A stuff. Okay, you went to the mound. You didn't have your A stuff, but somehow or another you won the game. And you had to pitch in it, and you had to go extra innings. And you were old school. They didn't bring in 4 relievers, 1 for the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th innings. We had to go the whole distance. Paige went the whole distance.
We'll go to Dom and then Carl.
Quantify or articulate somehow just how a core of freshmen, how much they grow up from having a shared experience like this. Well, you don't get very many chances in the season to play or win a game like this. Are you ready to say now that maybe they're not freshmen anymore? We kind of talked about this today.
It was hard to get all that, but you said something about growing up.
Yeah. Can you talk about how much your freshmen grow up from having a game like this, an experience like this?
Right. Yeah. Well, look, we do stuff in games that would defy logic. If you watched it, you go, how can you do that? Excuse me. So I'll say, hey, listen, when you're up 30, this stuff doesn't matter. And it doesn't look like it matters at all. I said, but in a big game, in a 3-point game, this is really going to matter, and it's going to cost us a game. You can say that all you want in practice, or you can say it all you want in a game where you're up 25. But when you're in a game like this, and it happens, and they see it, and they experience it, that's the best growth that can happen. That's how you grow. That's how you grow. And, they grew up a little bit today. No question about that.
Carl?
Geno, a lot of energy and emotion went into this game, but you have another game in 48 hours or less than 48 hours at this point. What do you want to see from your team tomorrow going to head till Wednesday, against a team, Seton Hall, that gave you all you could handle for a couple months ago?
I mean, tomorrow we have to get up here and we have to get tested. And then we'll have a walkthrough. I don't know how much we can actually do given how many minutes each of them played today. So some of the guys that didn't play as much will get a workout in. The other guys, will watch some film and try to get ready. We're kind of like on an NBA schedule, We played today. We got to walk through tomorrow, shoot around Wednesday, play, walk through Thursday, shoot around Friday, play. It's you just got to hope we're mature enough to be able to, to handle it.
Was Avina's knee okay? Is that why her minutes weren't that great, or part of it that she didn't struggle with that?
I don't know. I don't know. It's never 100%, and she had a tough assignment today. When we go with our small lineup, she has to. She's got a tough assignment with the other team's big kid. And I think she struggled a little bit in the second half at the beginning. But some days it's just, some days it's just going to be like that.
You go to Mel.
Geno, over the years, we've kind of fought up some stuff you said earlier, and even though you joked about the crowd help, but there have been games we've talked about, karma games, where things happen. Like a lot of them probable things had to happen for this to even be a 1 versus 2 game tonight, last couple of weeks. Whoever thought Stanford would lose to Colorado, et cetera, et cetera. But in some ways, when you have a crowd roaring and a young team in a game like this, that could be extra pressure, where this is maybe like a USA basketball practice from your Olympic coaching experience in there. So from that standpoint, you think there was that kind of game?
Yeah, when we played South Carolina at their place last year, you couldn't hear yourself think, right? When they came up here 2 years ago, I couldn't hear my assistants talking to me. It was so loud. Sometimes that gets some freshmen and some players so jacked up that they play out of their mind. And sometimes it scares the hell out of them. And they feel the nerves, too much. Playing these games in this environment, I can't, you could feel the tension in the game, obviously, but it wasn't, it wasn't your typical, it's like, it was a heavyweight fight, but only 2 guys in a bar after closing time. That was about it.
Anything else for Coach? All right, thank you. We'll have players in a second.